They torched police cars. They looted stores. They shut down freeways and attacked federal officers. Then President Trump sent in the National Guard. And now, well, Gavin Newsom is really taking things to the next level. So before we get into this, please like, comment, and share at Explain America. We really appreciate you getting the word out on common sense journalism. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom has been politicizing this outburst of rage and violence that has taken place on the street on behalf of foreign nationals that have no legal right to be in this country. On June 7th, ICE agents carried out major enforcement operations across Los Angeles. Over 100 foreign nationals were arrested, including known gang members and criminals charged with assault, child abuse, drug trafficking, and domestic violence. Then the protests came. And then the riots. Federal buildings were surrounded by over 1,000 rioters. ICE officers were physically attacked. Their vehicles were slashed, burned, and vandalized. It took LAPD 2 hours to respond, and some people are blaming LA Mayor Karen Bass. An Arco gas station in Compton was looted. Waymo robot taxis were set on fire. Demonstrators threw debris onto 101, shutting it down and damaging police cruisers. In Paramount, protesters had to be dispersed with tear gas and flashbangs near a Home Depot. 2 officers were hospitalized. Multiple arrests were made. And the FBI put a $50,000 bounty out on a mass suspect who injured a federal officer and destroyed a government vehicle. ICE reported a 413% increase in assaults on its officers during this week. President Trump responded reasonably by activating 2,000 National Guard troops under 10 U.S. Code, Section 12406, which allows the president to federalize the Guard when there is an obstruction of federal law or a rebellion. But California Governor Gavin Newsom, well, he didn't think there was a rebellion, and he didn't want the troops. And now his Attorney General Rob Bonta is suing the Trump administration, claiming he violated the 10th Amendment. Oh, so now they care about the Constitution. Bonta says there was no rebellion or invasion and argues that Trump's order was unconstitutional because it bypassed the state's permission. Well, what about the permission for these illegal aliens to come into the country? What about that, Gavin Newsom? Well, this isn't the first time that a sitting president of the United States has overrode a governor of a state whose people have been thrown into a rebellion. In 1794, there was the Whiskey Rebellion. George Washington led federal troops into Pennsylvania when armed rebels resisted a federal liquor tax. In 1799, there was Freeze Rebellion. John Adams deployed troops to crush a tax revolt in eastern Pennsylvania. And then throughout the years, in 1871, for example, there was KKK suppression, and Ulysses S. Grant sent federal forces into South Carolina when the governor refused to stop Klan violence against black Americans. In 1957, Dwight D. Eisenhower federalized the Arkansas Guard and sent the 101 Airborne to enforce school desegregation over Governor Orville Faubus, who tried to block it. In 1962, University of Mississippi, John F. Kennedy sent troops to protect James Meredith's enrollment and put down segregationist riots. In 1963, University of Alabama, Kennedy again federalized the Guard after Governor George Wallace physically blocked the door to stop black students from entering. And in 1965, as Democrats would like to remind you, in Selma, Alabama, LBJ used the Insurrection Act to federalize the Alabama Guard after Bloody Sunday, when state troopers beat civil rights marchers. Now, in every one of these cases, presidents took action when the states were either unwilling or unable to enforce federal law or maintain public order. The legal question now is whether Trump's usage of Section 12406 holds up without invoking the Insurrection Act and without the governor's help. California says the Guard wasn't needed. Federal officers say ICE were under siege and the state failed to protect them. The courts will now decide whether the president can act like the president in a moment like this. And we can be sure that a rogue judge is going to make an absolutely eye-rolling ruling and told the Supreme Court has to come in and reaffirm that yes, the American people voted for a commander-in-chief that has Article 2 powers and he has emergency powers under the Insurrection Act, and he is duly authorized to send in troops or National Guard when there is a rebellion in the United States. And that is not only what we have in California and Los Angeles, but Democrats want to take it across the United States. There are already maps circulating of where Democrats want to destroy cities to keep illegal aliens in this country. Why? Because it's their power base. Whether you're looking at the US Census, where they stand to lose seats and money because of their per capita count might be lowered from mass deportations or not counting illegal aliens. So that's what this is all about. A sick and twisted game from the Democratic Party to try to blame President Trump for the chaos that they caused with Biden's open borders crisis. So I'm sure there's not a lot of people fooled about this, but if you were a CNN watcher or an MSNBC watcher, your head might be in la la land about how this started, about why this is going on right now, and how mean old Mr. Trump, the dictator, is just, making up problems and causing issues where they don't exist. No. The issue is that laws have been broken for decades, and our economy is broken, our national sovereignty is compromised, and there are societies in this country that are in upheaval because of this open borders policy. And remember, when the liberals in the North, who are insulated from these problems, were exposed to them, from governors like Texas Governor Greg Abbott or Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, shipping a few hundred of them there, well, you saw what happened. Not in my backyard. That's what they said. Well, the southern border is America's backyard. We have it up to here, and they're waving Mexican flags on the streets, and American taxpayers don't want to pay them anymore to do this. This is all clearly organized. It's a major problem. We're at a breaking point, and the California governor, instead of supporting President Trump in his mission to bring peace and order to the streets of Los Angeles, is opposing him, is defying him, is trying to encourage the chaos and anarchy and lawlessness that pervades throughout California and other blue states. Well, this is the United States of America. We are held together by a constitution. We are held together by federal laws. And if those governors fail to enforce those laws, then the U.S. government has the right to enforce them for them. This has been Kyle Becker. Please like, comment, and share if you agree with this story, or if you just want to weigh in and tell us what other solutions there possibly could be, and what do you think about Gavin Newsom and his cooperation with the Trump administration to bring peace and order to the United States. Thank you for watching.